Before you watch this review, 3 things: context, disclaimer, and regarding spoilers. First, context. I have a fair amount of experience with puzzle games that explore concepts like this. This means that what may be easy for me might be blisteringly hard to someone who doesn't play puzzle games. And on the other hand, might mean that what I find a challenge could be child's play to someone more experienced than myself. Second, disclaimer. The Witness was designed and directed by Jonathan Blow, who also made the hit indie puzzle game Braid. I have long said that Braid is either my favorite game or at least one of my favorites, so considering that this is Blow's first full-scale release since Braid, and I was super excited for it to come out, factor some of that bias into the following review. And lastly, regarding spoilers. Due to the way I view puzzle games, how they work, and what makes them fun and interesting, I'm going to be maximum vague and avoid all spoilers, including mechanical spoilers, to the best of my ability. Because of that, this review will be short. All footage used is spoiler-free. Enjoy. For the review itself, I'm going to be quickly tackling 3 talking points: the puzzles, the world, and being a video game. The puzzles are what most of us came here for, so let's get that out of the way. The Witness's trailer did little to touch on our imaginations in my opinion, showing us what amounted to drawing mazes on boards. But upon playing the game, I understand now why they couldn't show us more. To quote a Steam user review that I think makes a pretty good point, The Witness isn't about solving puzzles, it's more about understanding them. You could technically brute force your way through every single maze in the game and you'd eventually get to the end and you'd have a terrible time all the way there. Not to mention it would take you like 12 years to do so. But if you enjoy unpacking how a mechanic works and not just beating it, so to speak, these are your kind of puzzles. While yes, the game does boil down to completing mazes, that's not necessarily what the puzzles are. The mazes are more like a blank space to write your answer in, while the world around you, the environment, the sights, the sounds, the lights and colors, that's the puzzle. If I was to make a comparison, I could technically say that Braid is just jumping on platforms and grabbing puzzle pieces, but that wouldn't really do the game justice, and I think most people would consider that a poor description. Likewise, saying The Witness is just solving mazes really doesn't hit the mark at all. Again, comparing to Braid, The Witness follows tradition in singling out one mechanic to base the whole game on and then fleshing it out to the maximum. This, in essence, cuts the fat and allows the game to be full and dense. Mechanics are introduced gradually and elegantly, providing no direct explanations and allowing the player to make connections on their own. In my opinion, there's no better way to do a puzzle game than that. The challenges range from very easy and straightforward to clusters of mechanics that play off of each other and make for a highly thought-intensive solution. There are hundreds of puzzles in the game, and they never feel like they've outstayed their welcome. And there are many benefits to the experience being filled with so many micro-puzzles. Because of the high volume of individual mazes, every point of the game is a good stopping point. You never feel stuck in the middle of something. Every maze completed feels like progression, so a play session of any length of time feels worthwhile. And finally, something I think is quite unique, the sheer amount of singular solutions to remember is ridiculously high. Meaning that while you may remember mechanics, I could see The Witness as being by far one of the most replayable puzzle games on the market. Combined with the game's main playthrough length and the incredibly extensive list of secrets to extend that playthrough, The Witness is easily worth the $40 price tag just based on mechanics alone, in my opinion. The world in the game is, like I said before, very dense. The island isn't going to end up being a big Skyrim map or anything like that, but I think a lot of games could learn from a world like this. It's big enough to make you feel small, but it's packed with so many interesting things that very quickly everything becomes a landmark. There aren't any areas on the island that I could describe to another player that they wouldn't recognize immediately. Everything is important, everything has a purpose, and everything was placed with absolutely deliberate intent. For longtime viewers of my content, you'll know that I have a show where I talk specifically about level design. In short, the entire island is worthy of an episode, but it would have to be several hours long because there's too much good to cover in any less than that. I know some people don't really like the graphical style of The Witness, but after more than 19 hours clocked in the game along with many secrets found, I simply don't think a game like this could function anywhere near as well with a more realistic graphical approach. There's a deliberate feel to everything about the environment, and it would be doing the game a huge disservice to simply dismiss it as low poly or oversaturated. Color and shape play a huge role in the game, and without the art looking like it does, which in my opinion I think it looks gorgeous, but that's just me, this stuff wouldn't make sense. Also, don't take my footage as the final word on visuals. I had to capture this on medium settings because my computer is old as heck, and yeah, that sucks. Looks better than this. Trust me. And at that, we arrive at my final talking point, which I apologize, but you're just gonna have to take me at my word for this one to keep from spoiling anything. Let's talk about The Witness and being a video game. Last year, we saw the release of Undertale, a game that was widely acclaimed by both critics and users, and often for a lot of the same reasons. People were fascinated by its approach to storytelling, narrative, character development, and interaction between the player and the world. For From my point of view, the reason that Undertale does all of these things correctly is that it fully embraces that it's a video game. It doesn't try and make you forget that you're playing a game. It points it out, embellishes it, plays with the tropes and the ideas and concepts that it knows that you know only exist in the world of video games. I bring this up because I very much believe that The Witness is great for a lot of the same reasons. The deeper mechanics that you'll discover, the world that exists, the ways in which you interact with all of these things, all of it is built on the foundation of being a video game and fully taking advantage of experiences that only games can provide. Like I said, I can't really expand too much on what I mean by this because there's too much of the experience that I would be robbing from you if I did. By now you probably realize that this game gets nothing but my highest praise and recommendation. Like I said at the start, I encourage you to factor in my bias and pit that against your own personal tastes. Despite it only being January, I'm pretty convinced that at the very least this game will end up on my top 10 games of 2016, but very likely be pretty high on the list. Thanks for watching, and I hope my review was helpful if you were considering picking up this game. A huge thank you to my lovely patrons for making this video possible. You can see their names on screen now. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button for more in the future and hit the like button or share the video around if you really enjoyed it. This has been Sunder, and I'll see you next time.